Okay, great. So thanks so much for joining us, Carly and Dom. First of all, just make a few introductions. So I'm the Diversity and Inclusion Lead at the AWS user group. The reason I've asked Dom and Carly along today is that we're really keen to encourage more of our members to become public speakers and submit talks to our community group. And Dom and Carly can talk to us about an initiative and community they're both involved in that helps to do exactly this. So encouraging more people from underrepresented groups into public speaking in tech. So without further ado, first of all, I'll make an intro with Dom. Do you want to just tell us a bit about yourself, Dom?
Yeah, so I'm Dom. I'm one of the organisers of the London Java community, and we've set up this initiative for aspiring women speakers to encourage and support underrepresented groups who want to get into public speaking.
Fantastic. And Carly?
So I'm Carly. I am a senior software engineer, but I'm also a member of the Aspiring Women Speaker Group.
Fantastic. So Carly, if we just kick off with yourself, so it'd be really great to hear your pretty inspiring story about how you, why you wanted to get into sort of public speaking, where you started, maybe how you kind of developed your skills in public speaking and confidence, and sort of where you are now on that journey. So you can maybe share some tips with our community members.
Sure, I'd love to. So it's a funny story. It starts a couple of years ago. So a couple of years ago, I was doing some blogging in my spare time. I was also looking to go to conferences, and I was finding that sometimes it didn't necessarily work out in terms of trying to get there. And I had a former manager that gave me some advice. He's like, well, why don't you go and talk at a conference? It's a good way to go along. It's a good way to contribute and share, which you're clearly doing already with your blogging. And at the time, I didn't really think too much of it. At that time, I was kind of focused more on other things. I was expecting my first child in the summer, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do this right now. But when I came back from maternity leave, I wanted to do something for me. And the speaking thing felt like it was now the right opportunity to try and pick that up. So I went along to Global Diversity CFP Day, literally the Saturday before I went back to work, which is quite amazing. Got the day off, got the babysitter, dad took over. And it was nice to go along to that session because it helped me write a couple of initial abstracts and talk ideas and kind of talk through those. But even then, I was still a bit apprehensive. I was like, I don't really know if I've got anything that interesting to say. I'm not an expert in these fields. And some of the topics that I was talking about to them as well, I was thinking, oh, maybe they're not technical enough for a conference. Kind of, I think, as I come to find, all those kind of usual thoughts that go through your head when you're thinking, should I really go and talk about this stuff? So what I did when I got back to work was I reached out to someone within my organization called James Goff, because I'd been told that he was a really good contact. He was doing speaking outside of work. So I had a really good chat with Jim, talked about kind of all the reasons I wanted to actually speak, actually talked about, you know, some of my apprehensions. And he was just really great with everything in terms of helping to dispel a lot of the myths that I've just outlined, like not being technical enough, not being able to fit it around other commitments, all those kinds of things. And it was really great to have that ear to kind of find that, you know, actually I would be someone that people would want to listen to. Because he was talking about all these stories about, you know, different female speakers that he knew that were, you know, even like talking on stage with their babies and carriers, or where, you know, speaking throughout their career, both pre and post children, as part of their spare time commitments and all this stuff. And I thought, you know what, this seems more accessible to me now. I'm going to give it a go. So Jim was a great help. He introduced me to the LJC, even though I'm not a Java developer, I'm actually front-end web. He introduced me to Dom and to Barry and to the speakers group. So I actually joined relatively soon after he made that intro. And through that, I got to go to the lightning talks. So I gave my first 5-minute lightning talk. I think it was in the summer. There was a lot of prep before that. So I had some talk ideas that I'd pulled in part of this CFP, but also through talking to Jim and just bouncing some ideas around and saying, do you think people would be interested in hearing about this?
Yeah.
So my first lightning talk was actually about learning through maternity leave and transitioning back into work, which was quite a nice intro into things because it wasn't a super technical topic. I was still getting back up to speed and it worked quite well. And it was really nice because I kind of pulled the talk together. I committed a date and signed up with Dom and said, I'm going to do it on this date.
No going back.
No going back. And then the week before, Jim actually sat on a Zoom call with me and I did, although it was 5 minutes, I actually did like a practice run of it, which was really helpful. So I definitely found that the mentorship angle, even at that early point, was there and was, helped me actually go off and do it. So the next week I went and did it. And after I did the talk, no one actually talks about after you speak, the nice feeling that you get. So before my first talk, I was an absolute bundle of nerves. I was kind of sitting there like, am I really doing this? Is this a really good idea? I've never met these people before. Am I going to make an absolute fool of myself? All those things that immediately go through your head, kind of trying to tell you not to do these things, the wobbly legs under the desk, everything. But after I gave the talk, it was 5 minutes, and at the end of it, I got some lovely questions at the end. I got some nice feedback through the forms that you get in the speakers. So in Aspiring Speakers group, you can fill in the form to give feedback. And I got some absolutely lovely feedback, which was really nice. And there is this high when you finish something like that that's so full of adrenaline, where you come out of it and you feel like it went really well, which is what happened to me. So that kind of made me feel like I could give this a go. Like this is something I could do. So I'd also kind of plucked up the courage to submit a CFP, so a proposal for a talk, to a conference. And I found out around about the same time that I'd actually been accepted. And I was like,
great.
Oh, wow.
Now this is serious.
Yeah, now it's serious business. It's not just lightning talks anymore.
Yeah.
But even then, the speaker group was great because I got to meet people that could kind of support me further with this. So I still got to do further lightning talks. So Barry and Dom actually suggested, why don't you take that shorter talk you did and do it again? People assume that when you do that lightning talk, you do it once and that's it. You can actually, through the speaker group, do the same one multiple times and get feedback if you change it or tweak it, or you just want to kind of do a bit more to practice presenting skills. So while I was working on this other talk, I then got to speak at the speaker group a couple more times using the other topic just to kind of get that practice. But I also managed to meet these other amazing people. Like I had, obviously Jim was helping me, but I had other people like Mag, who was reviewing recordings that I'd made on Zoom for this first talk. And then I had, other people that I met along the way that were helping me with other content in the background towards the end of that year. So I had Helen helping me with launching my website and moving my blogs off of Medium. So I found through the group that because people are going through the same thing at roughly the same time and are from loads of different backgrounds, you end up getting loads of support, and you get to kind of get loads of advice as well from different people who are in different situations and kind of have been there, done that, but are also in a way going through similar things to you. So through some kind of miracle and through all this support, the first full length talk that I gave to the Lean Agile Exchange in September went really well. I really enjoyed it. And I got some lovely feedback, and I got to go to the conference and meet people for 2 days and share my ideas and kind of learn a whole bunch of things from other people in their talks, which was awesome. Amazing. And then I got to come back to the London Java community and present the same talk at a meetup again, which was really nice way to give back to the community and kind of share that content. And it also opened up kind of avenues and opportunities that I didn't think were probably going to happen. So, for example, through the conference that I did, I actually got to publish an article on InfoQ, which was really cool.
Wow.
I never thought that was going to happen. And I've managed to use it to build up a network as well. So although a lot of the talks that I gave last year were not so technical, this year I've kind of branched out a bit into more technical topics on the front end web kind of stuff I've been doing. And that community is still there. So I've still been able to kind of do a lightning talk on that topic and then grow it. So I actually did a longer cut on some behaviour-driven development and end-to-end testing techniques last week. But it was the same process. It was using the speaker group to kind of grow the topic. And I then actually got loads of different contributions from other people, partially through their questions, but also I'd end up kind of connecting with individuals that are like, oh, I'd like to chat more about this topic with you, which was always really great because that also helps inform the content that you're putting out there, because it's not just then your experience, you're kind of weaving other people's in with it. So not to say that I don't still get nervous. Like I did the meetup last week on Tuesday and I was still like legs shaking under the table. I was just lucky that I had Steve there who was giving his first kind of 10-15 minute talk, and he was in a similar boat to me. So we're going through it, the motions together, which was lovely. So still get nervous every single time. That doesn't change.
But that's good nerves, right? So you don't, you know, it doesn't kind of paralyze you, and you know, life will still carry on. It's going to be fine.
Yeah,
I think is what you're saying, right?
It is. I think people worry so much, even for those little 5-minute talks, because they're recorded and they're put out there. People worry that if it goes disastrously wrong and they mess up, that, you know, it's going to be the end of the world. And it's really not. It's an opportunity to get feedback. And I think also through the group, so as well with the Aspiring Women Speakers group, Dom and Barry quite often arrange for more experienced speakers to come and speak and talk about their experiences. And you hear so many funny stories from them about times when things go wrong, and they're still doing it. They're still going out there, they're still speaking, and they're still coming to inspire us as well.
Yeah.
And that's great because it makes it seem accessible. So all those fears that I had when I started this of I've not got anything interesting to say, or, you know, I'm not got enough technical background, or all those other kind of fears that kind of stopped me from talking before. When they talk about it, it makes it seem accessible to me and something that I can do. And I've come to really enjoy it, which sounds strange because you're putting yourself effectively in a very nerve-wracking, exposed situation talking to people.
Yeah.
But I do really enjoy it. And I think in terms of kind of looking forward, I'm actively now trying to find conferences to submit topics to. I'm still speaking with Jim on a regular basis, as well as a lot of the other people in the speaker group, which is a nice support network. And yeah, the ongoing plan is to just kind of submitting for online things at the moment, but I'm kind of trying, my goal this year is to try and submit to maybe 2 conferences and do a few meetups and hopefully get accepted. So that seems doable. It's on the way. It's one more than last year. And then obviously myself and a few others are talking in the hope of what will happen if, you know, when things open up and we can actually, you know, stand on a stage and speak. There's definitely been some jokes between myself, Helen, and a few others about potentially hiding in the toilet because it would be a very nerve-wracking experience. But definitely looking forward to that idea of, you know, I think that does seem like something I could do. And I'm probably getting into it quite late. Like quite a lot of the aspiring speakers as well are, you know, apprentices or students, for example. So I do wish I'd gotten into it a bit earlier, but I'm definitely really enjoying the opportunities it's given me, the people I've got to meet, and, you know, getting to talk about things and share information. It's a lot of fun.
Amazing. Would you say it also helps with things like kind of career development and, you know, kind of, you know, building out your sort of profile in the kind of tech industry? Have you seen that helpful?
I would agree with that. So I've worked for the same company since I graduated from university. So obviously a lot of my network is inside there. So one of the good things about speaking at meetups, rather than just quite often when I went to meetups before I started doing this, I would be kind of the person that would hang around for the talks, maybe eat some pizza, kind of chat briefly to a few people, but ultimately was not great at the networking thing. I'm not a confident networker in the slightest. But what I've found is, obviously, if you're doing the speaking thing and you're kind of, part of that network, you're more likely to kind of encounter people and maybe connect with them afterwards. So I found it really great for finding more support in an external network, which is a great thing. Obviously, I talked about the publication opportunities. I wouldn't have got that InfoQ article if it wasn't for being part of a speaker group and having the nerve to submit to a conference.
Yeah.
But I think it also gives you opportunities within your own organisation as well. So since doing all this, I'm actually hopefully moving roles in a couple of weeks. But a lot of it is through doing the speaking and establishing connections and networks. Because when you do a talk like this outside as well, sometimes if you're chatting to colleagues, like they might go along, or they might watch it afterwards. And it does help with your exposure within your company as well, because people then come to know you for that expertise that you're talking about. So I would definitely agree, it's opened opportunities.
Fantastic. I mean, I think that is just a perfect example of why, we really need more people to kind of, be brave. And I know it's, it is just, I've done a little bit of public speaking myself, and, even presenting, to a group of colleagues can be quite a scary prospect. So yeah, nobody, doubts that it's, it's putting yourself out there. But I think that's a really inspiring story, Carly. And, it sounds like it's just the beginning of a really exciting new sort of avenue for you in your career. So yeah, congrats. And I think that's really going to help others to, to gain the confidence to try it themselves. So thanks so much for that. So Dom, whereabouts can people find out more? How can they get involved if there's people in our own AWS community that would like to be the next Carly?
So if you go onto the Meet a Mentor website, there are some pages with more information about the groups and testimonials as well from people like Carly and our other members, just talking about what they've enjoyed and what they've got from the group. But I'm on LinkedIn and I love talking to aspiring speakers. So please connect with me, ask me any questions, and we'll go from there, because I'd love to chat to everybody. And also, if you're still not quite sure, we have our lightning talks every fortnight. And I think if you just come along and you can sit in the audience, you can have your camera off, but just gives you a really good idea of what the group's about and how supportive everybody is as well. So feel free to sign up, and again, contact me and I can give you the information for those as well.
Fantastic. We'll also put the links in the chat today. So thank you so much for your time, and we'll hopefully see you again soon.